Good morning, Karen Friedman, Agnifilo. Good morning, Midas Mighty. Good morning, legal AFers. We are now in day 17, week 5 of Donald Trump's criminal trial. Yesterday began the direct testimony of Michael Cohen. It got through probably a little bit more than half of the direct testimony. So today the expectation is more direct testimony of Michael Cohen. My prediction is that they will finish direct testimony. The question mark I have that I want to toss to you, Karen, in just a moment is, will they get to cross-examination today? How far into cross-examination will they get today? What do you think strategically they're going to do on direct examination to try to get ahead on some of the areas that we expect to be the subject of cross-examination, given that you've worked in the Manhattan District Attorney's Office before going into private practice for nearly 30 years. You were the number 2 at the Manhattan District Attorney's Office. If you can walk our viewers and listeners through what you would expect the prosecutors to do today, knowing the types of cross-examination questions Michael Cohen's going to get. We've done a deep dive into day 1 of Michael Cohen's testimony yesterday afternoon. We talked about it again on the Midas Touch podcast and in various hot takes that we did. But by all accounts, from every objective observer who was in the courtroom, Michael Cohen was poised, calm, confident, went through the evidence in a diligent and meticulous way. Everything he said was corroborated. He made for a very powerful witness from day 1, but we shouldn't get ahead of ourselves. Trials are marathons, not sprints, and the testimony of a key witness like Michael Cohen in and of itself is a marathon within a marathon, and certainly not a sprint. And it would be not good journalism if we were saying, oh, based on day 1, this, that, and the other of Cohen's testimony. We know that there's a lot that can happen. We know that a witness also, there's a degree of stamina before a witness gets kind of worn out, even just tiresome, sitting there testifying every day the way Michael Cohen is. So we're going to see what happens today. But, this is the moment, right? I mean, this is a key moment in the case. Karen, what should we expect today? What do you think the district attorney is going to do? What do you think we can see on cross? Do you think we're going to get to cross today? Love to hear your perspective on all of those questions and anything else.
Well, good morning, Ben. Good morning, everybody. I'm so just appreciative of all the people who join us twice a day just to hear what we have to say about what's going on in this incredible trial, this historic trial. Michael Cohen is on direct, which means the prosecution is questioning him. And, this is not a short direct examination because this is a 10-year at least relationship. And the crime occurred over the course of at least a year. It's not like, I think I mentioned yesterday, it's not like, meeting someone in a dark alley and robbing them. And the direct examination is very short because the entire crime happened over the course of a matter of seconds. This has a decade worth of relationship, that the crime is not in a vacuum. The reason Donald Trump was able to rely on Michael Cohen and ask Michael Cohen to do certain things has to do with that relationship and how he knew Michael Cohen would do certain things for him. And the reason he chose Michael Cohen to have this really incredible, important role in his life to help him get elected president of the United States by burying these really damning and embarrassing stories about his life that he lived. Donald Trump said, Michael Cohen said on direct that that Donald Trump said something like, there's going to be, now that he declared his candidacy, there's going to be a lot of women coming out. And he tapped Michael Cohen with this really important job to make sure to be his fixer, to make sure that this was handled. And one of the things Michael Cohen said yesterday, Ben, that was really, I think, a bombshell, was how Donald Trump had no concern whatsoever about what his wife, who has not showed up one single day of this trial, by the way, to support her husband, did not seem to mind what she would think about any of this, and in fact said, how long do you think I'd even be on the market for? If she, the implication is if she left. I was watching CNN when this part of the testimony came out, and Caitlin Collins and Paula Reed were talking about it, and you could just see the shock in their voice. They're like, what? How long I'll be on the market? Like, I won't be on the market long if she leaves me. I mean, you could just, it was palpable how they were just shocked at this testimony. And Michael Cohen was talking about the history of their relationship and how all of this came about. And because the relationship occurred for so long, meaning between him and Trump, and the trust that Trump had in Michael Cohen, in order to have him be his fixer and have this important role, it took the entire day yesterday. And I think we're not even at the kind of most important part of the crime yet. So I think that's going to take a lot of time today. Plus, we're going to have to get into Michael Cohen's background, right? Michael Cohen took the fall for all of this. He served prison time. The prosecution is going to go into all of that. They're going to go into the fact that he pled guilty, why he pled guilty. And then they're going to go into his redemption phase, right? Like the whole reason why he changed and he transformed. And they're going to talk a lot about his podcasts and his just all his public persona since then, and how he transformed into a different person and why he has changed. And that's going to be a very important, powerful part of this. So they may get to cross-examination today, and they may not. It could go most of the day, the rest of direct. So we'll see. Then don't forget, tomorrow the trial is off. And then Thursday they're back. So they'll be crossing him for Thursday. And then Friday they're off because Donald Trump asked for permission to go to his youngest son's graduation. And so I think that the cross will go into next week. I think it's pretty safe to say. But today's going to be a really big day. Yesterday went very smoothly. Yesterday, the prosecutor, Susan Hoffinger, asked a lot of questions. She did all the questioning. Some people said, oh, but she asked a lot of leading questions, which you're not allowed to do on direct. Direct is supposed to be open-ended, non-leading questions, but there wasn't a lot of objection to her leading questions. So she was a trained defense attorney for most of her career. So I think it's just a habit that's hard to break. But by all accounts, Michael Cohen has remained calm. He's remained, he's doing apparently very well, according to people who are in the courtroom. And he's coming across as very credible, and they haven't gotten under his skin yet. Look, no, people are flawed, and he's definitely someone who made mistakes. And I think today's the day that we're going to hear about that Michael Cohen and the current Michael Cohen, who's been spending many years trying to make amends for his years with Donald Trump.
So, Karen, if you were prosecuting this case, are you trying to anticipate where Trump's team is going to go on cross? There were some observers, who I saw, former federal prosecutors. They were surprised that the prosecution may have been saving some of that stuff towards the end of Cohen versus kind of sandwiching it in the middle. I don't know if that's kind of a nitpicky thing or what you think.
That's an interesting point. I hadn't seen that. If this were my case and I were handling it, given their relationship, I probably would do it in a chronological order. I just think that's what makes sense. That's the story, right? You want the jury there's a lot of people who are like, I don't understand why you would do this for Donald Trump. Why would you lie for him? Why would you be so indebted to him? Why would you follow him to the end of the earth the way you did at a certain point? And that's, it's something that a lot of people, I think, wonder. And so if I were the prosecutor, I would want to bring the jury into that. So I would start in chronological order and start with, I would try to let them see his whatever it is that transfixes people and gets people to follow him. I don't want the jury to kind of see that and feel that. So I'd go in chronological order. And so as a result, most of the things that take the sting out of Michael Cohen happen later, right? It's him going to prison, him, wanting redemption, and him having his podcasts and, and his grudge against Donald Trump. It all comes after the fact. So I would probably do that later. I'd probably do that. That would be my penultimate thing I would cover. And then I would go and I would end it with significant corroboration. I wouldn't want to end with that stuff, but I'd want that to be towards the end. And then I'd probably end with corroboration. I would go through all the things. I mean, they're weaving corroboration into his direct. So they did a brilliant job, I have to say. I'm so impressed with how they did this. They pre-corroborated him by introducing all this boring stuff into evidence, phone records and text messages and, whatever it is, all the things that corroborate him, calendar entries, all the things that reinforce everything Michael Cohen said. They put that into evidence through the boring witnesses, the AT&T guy or, whatever, whoever it was. And so as they're asking him questions, they can just be like, oh, you say that you met with him on February of 2017. I'm showing you this calendar entry. Is that the date? Because you met with, I forgot her name, something Hoot. What was her name? Wester Hoot. Just things like that. They did a great job. They didn't have to have any pauses to introduce things into evidence because it was already introduced into evidence. So a lot of the corroboration's already there, but I would do take the sting out here toward the end because it's chronological. That's how I would handle it. So I think they're doing an amazing job. I mean, it's going in surprisingly well. Whether it's beyond a reasonable doubt, that's for the jury to determine, but the evidence is going in as well as it could possibly go in. And look, the evidence here is imperfect. It's imperfect because Donald Trump is somebody who attracts, porn stars and tabloid journalists and people like lawyers like, Mr. Davidson, who's, negotiated NDAs on behalf of people and people like Michael Cohen who are willing to do things for him that are, unseemly, frankly. So he's the one who chooses these types of people. And so those are the people he surrounds himself with. And so those are who your witnesses are going to be. It's not going to be a perfect case involving, stand-up people. And anytime you have someone who's trying to make amends for a life that was less than perfect, it's an uphill battle. But by all accounts, Michael Cohen is holding his own and is coming across as credible. And that's all you want. That's all you want. And that's all you need. And the jury will do what they can with it. I mean, at the end of the day, the one thing I think the DA's office has done an excellent job at already is proving that a crime occurred beyond a reasonable doubt. Tying Donald Trump to that crime is the place that somebody, whether it's Alan Weisselberg or Michael Cohen, has to tie him to that. Michael Cohen is doing it because Alan Weisselberg is in jail and neither side is calling him, which that should tell you something right there. So if Michael Cohen can get across that hurdle, I think he'll be found guilty.
Well, it's a big day. It's a big week. As someone personally who, has become good friends with Michael Cohen over these years, seeing him up there I want to make sure that I wear my journalist hat, and I could, of course, give my perspective on my knowledge of the Michael Cohen I know. But it's important that I reflect objectively what I'm seeing and what I'm observing. And my commitment and promise to everybody is, regardless of any of the friendship or relationships that I have, I'll make sure that we're going to tell you the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. The good, the bad, the ugly, it is what it is. Facts matter, and we'll keep on reporting them here on the Midas Touch Network. Hit subscribe. We're on our way to 3 million subscribers. Friedman, Agnifilo, and I will be back together at the end of the day's court proceedings, and we'll give you a recap of everything that goes down. Make sure you tell friends, family, coworkers, colleagues, neighbors, whoever, about our network, about what we're building here, and let's grow this together. Thanks so much, Karen Friedman, Agnifilo. It's an honor to have you lead our coverage of all things regarding this Trump criminal trial. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Shout out to the Midas Mighty. Shout out to the Legal AFers.
Love this video? Make sure you stay up to date on the latest breaking news and all things Midas by signing up to the Midas Touch newsletter at MidasTouch.com/newsletter.